You might be innocently planning the meth lab of your dreams,
I run a meth lab out of the kids' tree fort,
while your lender suspects that you are spending it on something irresponsible.
I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do.
It is me, Business Barbie. I don't know if you've seen last week's video about the Federal Reserve. The reviews are in and people found it riveting, captivating, beautiful. The best thing they've ever seen in their entire life.
Best I've ever seen.
But with all the newfound glitz and glamour and success of the Federal Reserve video came a different problem. I was told you always have to one-up yourself to keep people coming back and wanting more. What could possibly be more entertaining than the Federal Reserve? And then it came to me. Credit scores. Today we're talking about credit scores.
Score!
What is your credit score really? What is it used for? What is it made of? And the dramatic effects on your budget.
This is an interesting topic.
What is your credit score really?
A credit score is measure of one's credit worthiness.
It doesn't discriminate between rich and poor. It just discriminates between has their shit together and does not. You can have an amazing credit score and be broke as hell, and I think that's a very uplifting start.
there is hope!
Your credit range can be anywhere from 300 to 850. And the average American finds himself at 617. Now let's find out where your score is used.
I know the answer.
But he immediately says, well, by the banks and creditors, but it's so much more than that. So I thought we'd play a little game. It's called Guess the Rest. Utility companies. Every time you move or you want to set up your basics, your water, your electricity, and so on, the utility company can and probably will pull your credit report. And even though there are laws in most states that prohibits them from denying you service based on bad credit, they can still charge you an astronomical deposit instead. Insurance companies. Don't ask me why, it makes no sense to me either, but insurance companies will charge you more if you have bad credit, because statistically speaking, somebody with poor credit is more likely to file a claim. I have a real-life example and a graph for you explaining the impact of that in just a little bit. Then, landlords. Obviously, they have every right to ask you if you are financially stable and responsible, but let's just say you haven't always been. Then you got a problem, because they will charge you a surplus on rent and deposit because they consider you a risk. Your employer. While it is a myth that your current and future employer can just go and willy-nilly pull your credit score, they may still ask you for it. So now let's think this through for a second. You are on an interview and they say, hey, one of the things we need from you is your credit score. What are you going to say? Nope. Debt collecting agencies. The slimy flying monkeys of the financial system. Obviously, they would date your grandma to find out how to collect from you. So yes, they are looking into your credit report to find out where you spend your money and how to track you down. Government agencies. That's a big one we don't think enough about. It can be the IRS, it can be the Social Security Office, or it could be court trying to find out how much child support you really have to pay. And absolutely any entity with a court order. So if there is a legitimate reason why somebody needs full transparency in your finances, then they can petition the court, and when there is reason, it will be granted. So this whole wall is using your credit score. Admit it, that is a lot broader than you initially thought. Now that we have established that your credit score basically influences every single part of your life, we need to understand it. Everybody's talking about this magical 3-digit number, but what is it made of?
I'll find out. I'm going to find out the big secret.
Okay. There are 5 key factors that make up your credit score. Now, here is a pie chart.
You never know when you might need to make a pie chart.
Of the 5 things your credit is made of. The first one, the biggest one, the giant one, 35% being your payment history. It's the most impactful of the 5.
Your payment history is basically really just the percentage of payments on time.
And you get there by adding up all your past payments, the paid ones and the unpaid ones, divide them by the number of your missed payments, and then you take that number and go by 100, and then you have your percentage aisle of payment history.
I was distinctly promised no math.
According to the credit bureaus, your rate of on-time payments needs to be 99% or 100. That is rough.
Yikes, that's rough.
The good news is you don't have to go and pay off all of your debt because how? But it is actually good enough to make the minimum payments required so that your account is considered in good standing. Then, at a close second, with 30%, credit utilization. What does that mean? It really just means how much of your total available credit line are you using. So, let's assume for a second that you have 3 different credit cards. Each one has a line of credit that is $5,000. So in total, your line of credits are totaling to $15,000. And your lender wants to know how much of that are you using. If you're going for a really good score, you want to keep that rate under 20%. In third place, with a whopping 15%, is your credit history, meaning how long have you had your average account? It's basically all accounts that you have open right now, put together and averaged out, and the longer, the better, because it shows the lender that you can hold your financial responsibilities for longer than just 2 months. Now, coming in at 4 and 5 at a tie with 10% each, you have your inquiries, scary, and you have your types of credit. Types of credit. What does that mean? Well, simply put, your lender wants to know what types of credit you've been currently entertaining. Because, simply put, you may not qualify for a $100,000 Maserati loan just because you paid your $80 cable bill for the last 2 years. So for our last 10%, we have recent credit, which is a bit of a misleading name. What we really mean by that is your hard inquiries within the last 2 years. We're all a bit scared of hard inquiries, and rightfully so, because they are being put on your credit immediately and they're gonna take it down a notch. But why? Every time you apply for a line of credit, somebody is gonna pull your credit score. Remember, it's the whole thought behind it.
You get it now? Yeah, I get it.
So why does the lender need to know if you go shopping for other loans and other stuff? Because it is a snapshot of what you're up to at the moment. Now, you might be innocently planning the math lab of your dreams, while your lender suspects that you are spending it on something irresponsible, like actually a bathroom upgrade. We made it a habit on this channel to not just dabble in theoretics, but to actually explain what we just learned on real-life examples. Let's go buy a car.
First thing I'll buy is a new car.
Let me introduce you to my 3 friends. There's Ethel, that's Anna, and that's Chad. Well, they all make the same amount of money, they all have the same job, but Ethel's credit score is amazing, Anna's credit score is average, and Chad, well, he's a Chad. It's bad. They're choosing the same car for the same price, and they have the same monthly income.
Coincidence.
So, the only variable between our 3 heroes here is their credit score. All 3 of them are buying the same car for $30,000.
Too many coincidences.
And they are financing it over 60 months. Now, we care about the bottom line here. After the 60 months are over, how much did this car really cost you? And we mean principal and interest. For Ethel, at the end of the 60 months, she will have paid $32,667. Anna's bottom line with her average credit is $35,187. And then there is Chad. He has poor credit and his bottom line will be $41,882.
So bottom line.
The difference between what Ethel paid and what Chad has to pay is almost $10,000.
$1 million.
That is almost a third of the purchasing price.
Yeah, we know.
We now already know that our credit score affects much more than just our larger purchases. So let us extend our example into car insurance. We are getting our quotes for the same car, the same driving record, and the same age.
You are so very much alike.
Ethel's insurance will cost her $1,500 a year. Anna's insurance will cost her $2,150 a year. Oh, and Chad's is gonna be $2,580. So, look at it. The difference between excellent credit and bad credit is 72%. That's enormous.
That's outrageous.
That brings us to the end of part 1. We learned what credit is, what its impact is, and in conclusion, I think we can all agree
you are absolutely doomed with bad credit and might as well throw the towel in right now.
I'm kidding. Kind of. In part 2 of this video, I will show you 5 easy steps to boost your credit score.